stairs that dotted its gleaming marble floors. With none of that going on right now, he could feel the true nature of the building for the very first time. Realizing he'd been standing in the doorway, lost in thought for far too long, Will turned and pushed the doors closed. It was frigid outside, and he didn't want to let any more heat out of this vast building than he already had. He turned around and felt his heart skip a beat in his chest. A man was standing directly behind him. Not just any man, but Constable Eric Eggleston of the Entwistle RCMP, and he didn't look well. Eric's usually ruddy complexion was gone, his skin now sallow and pale, his typically quick-to-smile mouth a raw, flat line, both lips chapped and bleeding. "Constable Eggleston, you startled me. I didn't hear you sneak up behind me just now." The constable didn't reply, and only stared back at him with cloudy, unblinking eyes, their corneas covered in the early stages of cataracts. Remaining mute, the policeman turned and moved across the lobby toward the front desk. Will shrugged out of the heavy winter parka he was wearing and draped it across one of the wing-back chairs nearby. Despite his feeling cold earlier, now that he was inside the hotel, he suddenly felt like he was melting inside the thickly layered jacket. He took a couple of steps in the direction of the policeman and hesitated. There was something seriously wrong here. The constable was normally an ebullient and engaging man, but today Eggleston looked like he was sleepwalking. "Eric, where are you going? What's happening?" Without replying or turning back, Eggleston continued past the front desk and arrived at the top of the stairs. Only then did he look back over his shoulder. Satisfied that Weston was paying attention, Eric turned away once more, the tendons and ligaments in his neck audibly cracking and popping, and then he began to descend the stairs toward the basement. Weston moved across the lobby, calling, "Do you want me to follow you?" There was still no reply from the constable, and Will jogged to get to the stairs as quickly as he could. Although the police officer had been walking like he was asleep on his feet, somehow he'd found his energy once again, because he was already moving down past the dogleg landing in the stairwell. Feeling overheated with his scarf still around his neck, he unwrapped it and draped it over the top of the railing leading down the stairs, meaning to retrieve it later. Taking the stairs as quickly as he dared, Will arrived at the landing to find the door leading to the basement hallway just snicking shut. He called out once again, "Eric!" Rushing down the last few stairs, he burst through the door into the hallway, slamming it open with a crack as it hit the metal doorstop behind. Just down at the end of the hall, the constable entered a room, the door swinging shut with a crash of steel on steel. A white sign with black letters on the door read, "Storage." Weston jogged down the hallway, arriving at the closed door only seconds later. His right hand clasped the handle as he went to turn it, and then he hissed in pain, wrenching his hand back from the doorknob and holding it to his chest. He slowly held it out to examine it and winced when he saw what looked like a fierce red burn all over his palm. And yet, the doorknob hadn't been hot, but rather the opposite, like it had been sitting out at the South Pole in the middle of winter. Pulling the sleeve of his sweater down over his other hand, he turned the doorknob and felt the cold trying to leach through the wool. The storage room was a long rectangle, with a series of shelves on both sides, and also running down the middle, separating the room in two. Leaving the door open, Weston slowly edged into the room. As part of his job, he was familiar with rumors of weird things that occurred up at this resort over the years, and this seemed to be shaping up to be one of those weird things. Being a small town, Entwistle was still talking about the 1963 murder-suicide. Even though it was now 18 years later, it was still fresh in people's minds. Will wondered, just as they no doubt would, was whatever that happened up here over the last couple of days somehow linked to those previous occurrences. Whatever had happened, Will thought, it was just getting stranger and stranger. He checked down the first aisle and found it empty, then hurried to the next one, but found it unoccupied as well. Down near the far end, a shelf jutted out slightly into the room, looking quite out of place. Moving slower now, he was unsure where Eggleston had gone, and was uncertain if the man may actually be a threat to him or perhaps even to himself.